371 in medic 6, you're seeing a 74-year-old male, shortness of breath, down to 2-word sentences, history of emphysema and harm.
District 29213, 18th Avenue South, with their neighbor. Currently separated, the neighbors at 29.
With more square miles than any other state, Alaska has a lot of land to venture out in. But whether you're out to see the sights or living a subsistence lifestyle, you never know when there could be an emergency. Our state has made significant progress in improving our communication systems so that we can have the best possible outcome in the worst situation. Over the past 20 years, we've experienced big advancements in technology with things like smartphones and cellular devices. But one piece of equipment has proven to be a dependable tool throughout time: the radio. However, like most pieces of technology, there are always bigger and better versions with more capabilities being created. And in some ways, this has created a hindrance in emergency situations when various agencies are trying to communicate by radio. By understanding how to use our equipment and following the interoperability plans that have been set up, we can all communicate quickly and effectively during a response. Due to Alaska's great landmass, scattered population, and unique terrain, emergency incidents require careful and concise coordination. Various committees made up of different first responding agencies have been created to oversee the implementation of Alaska's statewide communications interoperability plan, including the Alaska Interoperable Communications Committee, the Alaska Land Mobile Radio Executive Council, and the ALMR User Council. The main goal of these committees is to ensure that all local, regional, tribal, state, and federal first responders are able to communicate in real time across different agencies and jurisdictions. These committees follow guidance from SAFECOM, a communications program of the Department of Homeland Security, using its interoperability continuum. According to the continuum, there are 5 critical elements of interoperable success, including governance, standard operating procedures, technology, training and exercises, and usage. Alaska's interoperability committees have been working over the years to achieve the highest level of success in each of these elements of the continuum. But one major thing they've had to keep in mind is Alaska's unique topography. Because of this issue, a more regional approach has been taken in developing Alaska's Interoperable Communications Plan. Officials have divided up the state into 6 regions that each have a tactical interoperable communication plan containing resources and procedures designed specifically for each environment. These 6 regional areas are roughly aligned with Alaska State Trooper detachments. With no road accessibility, some of these regions face a lack of technological infrastructure, especially in the northern and southwest regions, which have very limited connectivity. These limitations are being addressed through funding initiatives to help develop a higher level of communication in these areas. Because not all of Alaska's communities have the same technology, it's important for us to know and understand the differences between equipment that is used varying region to region. There are 3 types of radio systems commonly used in our state. The first type is a conventional VHF radio or two-way radio system, which is often used for government, industrial, and business purposes at a local level. Conventional VHF products range from small handheld radios to vehicle-mounted mobile radios and base station equipment. A conventional VHF system uses simplex or half-duplex operation. In simplex operation, one unit of the radio transmits while the other radio receives. Simultaneous transmission and reception is not possible in simplex operation. For some local responses, simplex operation is helpful when using tactical channels because it allows responders within a 1/2 mile range of the incident to directly communicate without having to worry about any infrastructure disabling the signal. In half-duplex operation, the VHF radio uses a repeater, which rebroadcasts the radio's signal with considerably more power, expanding the transmission range to other radios. In order to operate a conventional VHF system, users have to manually select a radio channel to communicate. VHF radios are commonly used in Alaska's rural communities because they are affordable and easy to use. Another common type of radio system utilized in Alaska is marine band, which is used on large boats and small vessels in many coastal communities. Operating off of a group of publicly available VHF channels, a marine radio can be one of the most important pieces of safety equipment you have on board. A marine radio can deliver a call for assistance, allow you to listen to the latest weather report, or simply keep you in touch with other boats on the water. The third and most common type of radio system used in our state is trunked radio, which is utilized in the Alaska Land Mobile Radio System, also known as ALMRS. A trunked radio system allows users to share a pool of frequencies that are assigned by a computer. This allows multiple groups of users to share a small set of radio frequencies without hearing each other's conversations or having to deal with frequent interruptions. A trunked radio automatically picks the radio frequency, unlike the conventional VHF system where the user has to manually choose a channel. Almost all fire, police, medical emergency responders, and public works departments are users of the trunked radio system. In Anchorage, responders use a trunked radio system but are not on the ALMR system. Instead, they use a system that is more tailored to urban areas with larger infrastructure. Some responders in our state are constantly operating on all three types of radio systems.
About a year ago, we had an incident up in Turnagain Pass in late May where we responded for an injured snow machiner. A fellow had gone off a jump and been run over by his machine. Turned out that he had a femur fracture, pelvic fracture, some pretty severe injuries. And we responded at the request of AST, Soldotna Dispatch, but we couldn't talk to them at all. And we lose our coverage from the Anchorage radio dispatch system at about the 20 Mile River area, which was a good 15 miles from the incident site. Once we passed 20 Mile River, we had no communications with anybody except for a direct line of sight legacy VHF. So we were able to speak to the LifeMed helicopter once we could see them, but as is usually the case with that, we could actually hear their rotor wash for a couple of minutes before we could talk to them on the radio. But I didn't realize that Cooper Landing and Moose Pass EMS had been dispatched and were coming on the call until we got back out to the parking lot after the run was all over with. So about a week ago, last Saturday, we had an almost identical situation. Snow machiner ran into a ditch, machine flipped over, ran over him, had severe back injury. And in this case, I knew before I got to the Seward Highway, about a mile from the station, that Cooper Landing was coming. I called up Soldotna Trooper Dispatch, spoke with them. They assigned us an IC channel, went to that, spoke with Moose Pass. Fire and Rescue found out they were en route with 3 snow machines, which I didn't even know they had the capability. Cooper Landing EMS chatted with us. They were just leaving their base and we were leaving ours. We had no idea who was going to get there first. We got on location, went out into the field, but I was able to give them a patient report, injuries, blood pressure, pulse, medications I'd administered, and they landed and we picked the patient up, took him to the helicopter, and off he went. He was in the hospital 10 minutes later.
About 85% of Alaska's population is covered by the ALMR system, which provides communication services to communities that are road accessible. There are currently more than 80 ALMR operation sites covering most of the Parks, Seward, Richardson, Glen, and Alaska highways. ALMR coverage is also available in many Southeast Alaska communities along the Alaska Marine Highway. When the ALMR system is completed, there will be more than 100 sites providing coverage for the communication system. This system is unique because it encompasses all responders from all governmental and non-governmental agencies within its coverage. However, most small rural regions are not covered by the ALMR system because of logistical and economical challenges. This creates a communication gap between road communities and rural ones. The best solution for any agency to interact and exchange information in a small rural community is to change the channel on a trunked radio system to that of a conventional system. This capability is often referred to as backwards compatibility. Backwards compatibility allows a trunked radio system to operate on its existing system while providing the capability to work with older radio systems. By changing the radio to the proper channel, it will allow responders to communicate with people in areas that are using marine or conventional VHF systems, allowing everyone to communicate on the same frequency. In order to create this compatibility, the ALMR system user would have to know that the area they are responding in is using marine band or conventional VHF technology, what channel is being used, and how to change their radio to the proper channel. Because not all of Alaska's communities use the same radio equipment, it's important for responders to take the necessary steps to get on the same frequency. Alaska relies heavily on imported goods, and any kind of disaster could leave our state without many necessities for days. It will be during times like these that it's important for officials to help keep the public informed about what's going on and what they need to do. These efforts will be carried out much more easily if everyone can communicate on the same system. There's a greater risk for loss of life and property if the operator chooses not to adapt his or her equipment to the environment that they're responding in.
It's important to realize that the ALMR capable radio is also capable of all the conventional VHF channels that you may have traditionally used or your groups that you're working with are using. For instance, the statewide EMS channel, you couldn't talk to people statewide on it, but it was a state licensed channel that was available for every EMS agency in the state to use. You can still have that programmed into your radio, and we did that with ours because we have a number of those old legacy radios that we still use here. It gives us more capabilities, more units if we're doing a search or something. And it also allows us to communicate with the smaller user groups that may not have the budget to upgrade to an ALMR capable radio yet.